Welcome back, everybody. I want to thank all of the participants who took time this morning to learn more about Brian. We're so excited to meet you and have you learn from these talented leaders in this breakout session. I have interacted or worked with all of them, and I agree with Kara. They are stars, and they have a lot of fans on their units. So you're very fortunate to be able to spend time. We'll try to stick to about 6 minutes a leader, so we have time at the end for questions. So I will let you know if we're getting close to that 6-minute time period. Why don't we go ahead at this time? We're going to kind of start from the bottom up. If Crystal would like to start with us and kind of give us a background, Crystal, what the unit is, some specifics about it, what makes it great. Take it away, Crystal. Thank you so much.
Yes, nice to see everyone again. So my name is Crystal Harabin. I'm the nurse manager of 2 North, the general PCU unit on West Campus. We're a 22-bed unit. We take trauma patients and then medical patients. So I really tell people that our population is driven by what's going on in the community. So as I stated during the last breakout, it really, during these snowstorms is when we're going to see motor vehicle accidents, traumas from falls, home repair, people trying to clean off their roofs. During the summer, still car accidents, boating accidents or home repair accidents. 4th of July always brings that population in with hand injuries, injuries related to fireworks, even things like Husker football, those big gatherings and things of that nature will bring with it some trauma population. So as you can see, our unit is super close knit. I think the bottom picture you see, we got some fancy eyewear during the pandemic that I have 2 nurses modeling here. The unit is super close. It's a family. It's a family, and everyone confides in each other. And really, as you heard others talk about, we need each other to be productive and to get through the days and just to keep moving forward. So what else? I started Brian 5 years ago as an RN on the inpatient rehab floor. I then transitioned to the progressive care unit when it opened. Our unit is only about 5 years old. Then I moved into that assistant nurse manager role, and then most recently to the manager role. I started working at Brian when I was 16 in the kitchen, and I can speak to the core values, to that family feeling. Every unit, every 2 South, we take a lot of patients from the neurotrauma ICU. And even as you heard Chad speak to, or Lacey, our team and their team are super close knit. We communicate really well together. We depend on each other for those patient transfers. And everywhere you go throughout the organization, you just feel that connection to everyone. What else? What did I touch base on?
Well, I'm curious, Crystal, people have talked about what kind of a family their units are in the organization. I know Brian over the years has done events, both for employees like the picnic or movie night or zoo or cookies with Santa. Do you have a favorite one that you've enjoyed?
I enjoy them all, and I know the team really enjoys all of them. So those are great. Brian does a great job of really bringing that family feel to all of the teams. So my kids are unfortunately grown past that cookies with Santa stage, but movie night is something that we as a family always enjoy. The picnic is always enjoyable. You're able to even on the Brian premise, you feel like it's seeing your family members. It's like an extended family reunion, really. Mm-hmm. As well as the movie event. Brian does a great job of caring for their employees and really taking the time to show that we matter. One of my favorite things we've heard through some of the other speakers is operational transformation. Mm-hmm. And part of that is the idea flow cards. And that's looking at ideas that come from team members on process improvement and what that looks like. And we have had fantastic success with those idea flow cards and moving those ideas forward to make sure that workflows are working like they should. If there's ever those catches, that we can look at the process and try to determine something that works better for everyone.
Mhm. Well, that's fantastic, Crystal. Appreciate so much you taking the time to help people understand what's great about your unit and what you enjoy about Brian.
Yeah.
At this time, Kara, if we could pull up the slide for Amanda Fink in surgical vascular. And Amanda, same thing. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your unit, what makes it a great unit to be a part of. And then if you could touch on some of the social things that Brian has done that you've enjoyed or your family's enjoyed, and anything else that you think that our participants might enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to start with the social thing first. So, my favorite social thing is cookies with Santa. And I have two little kids who we go every year. And my kids think it's so cool because they think Santa lives at my work. So it really is. I mean, it's amazing. And for a mom, that's a huge win. Like, mom is cool. She's got Santa at her work. So, anyways, I have been with the organization for 20 years. I started off as a tech. I was a nurse in a med-surg unit. I went to the emergency room. I graduated with my master's. I went back to the West Campus as an assistant nurse manager. And now I've been as a manager on the medical surgical vascular unit for 6 years, which has been so much fun. Let's see, we have a 33 bed unit. It is 2 units, but we're all the same staff. So we have about 75 to 80 staff between nurses and techs that work all together. Our north side is the general care side, and that's 18 beds. And our south side is the progressive side, and that's 15 beds. We see a wide range of patients. Our surgical population is bowel surgeries, appies, coles, ENT surgeries, thyroids, parathyroids, sinus surgeries, and then we get our vascular population, which is we see amputations, lots of wounds, angiograms, aortograms, just some different things that really keep you on your toes. And then we can see anything medical. So pneumonias, UTI, sepsis. This last 11 months, we have been isolation and COVID. So that has really, we've really been able to care for the community and step up to help do that. So these are some pictures of our staff. We recently had a Daisy Award winner, Jenny. She's our charge nurse, which was wonderful to watch her grow in her charge nurse role and help staff out. So it was really wonderful to see her win that Daisy Award. And then just some of the thanks from the community. We were given lunch and some treats during our isolation stages. And then we had Santa come visit us. So that was fun as well. Let's see, what am I missing?
Well, let's see. Why Brian? What stands for why you love Brian?
Yes. So I feel like I was born and raised here. I went to the Bryan School of Nursing is what it was called back then, for my 2-year diploma. And I haven't left. They've given me opportunities to grow and develop. And I feel like they give that to every nurse, whether you're at the bedside, whether you want to do something in management or education, or there's always things to do and learn and grow as a person and as a nurse. I feel like Brian really steps up and supports their staff. During the pandemic, we saw that big time on our unit with, they did extra pay. And if you had been diagnosed with COVID, they waived that the short-term disability. And they did some other really nice things for the employees during this time, just to know that we know that you're out there, we know that you're working hard, and here's some little extra things. So I feel like they really step up and support the staff on the front lines.
Mm-hmm. Any advice, Amanda, that you would give to a new grad who's thinking about their choices for where their career will take them? What
Yeah.
advice would you
So
give them?
So they always say med surge is a great place to start off. I do believe that med surge, there's so much to do and learn and see, prioritization and organization, and just new and different procedures that we do on the floor. But it's also a good place to stay and to grow. So we have lots of growth opportunities on our floor. So not only starting off your career, but just learning and growing there, and being there for years to come. We have nurses that have been there for 25 plus years. And we also have new grads. So we have a wide variety of staff on our unit, which is fun because the nurses that have been there for a while, they really help those nurses that are newer and in their growth. So
Well, it sounds like they really live one team, one purpose, right?
most definitely. Most
Mhm.
definitely. We really work together as a team. We know that as a nurse, you can't do everything by yourself. So you really rely on good team members. We saw a lot of that before the pandemic. As the pandemic hit, we saw that increase, and they really care about each other like family members, and they really step up to help one another out.
Well, fantastic, Amanda. Thanks for sharing what you love about surgical vascular. Appreciate
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And now we'll transition, Kara, if we could pull up Molly Goodman's slide. Molly's with Cardiac Medical. And Molly, if you could share a little bit about yourself, your unit, what it's like to work there. If you could add at some point those social things that Brian has offered, if you've taken advantage, and then anything else that you think might be helpful to someone who's thinking about Brian.
Oh, goodness. I'll try to remember all that, Mary. Thank you. This is Molly Goodman, nurse manager for Cardiac Medical Unit, Progressive Care General Care on the East Campus. I also manage the Central Monitoring Unit. And I apologize, earlier session, I forgot my AIDIT, which is it's a problem for me. So I need to get better at that. I've worked at Brian for a total of 21 years. I started as a nurse tech. I went to Bryan School of Nursing, graduated with my diploma, was a night shift nurse for several years. I want to say 10, 12 years. I did leave for a little while, but I really missed Brian when I was gone. It was, it definitely drew me back. The culture, our familial culture, just the support that Brian gives nurses and employees in general. Is tremendous, and that was definitely missed when I left for a period of time. I've been back since 2012, and I came back into an A&M role, assistant nurse manager, for 7 South 7 North, the med surge unit, and then I became the cardiac unit manager for a couple of years. I had a great opportunity after that to start my own unit. Units were kind of splitting off to make it more manageable for managers. Instead of having 120 reports, which is what I had on the cardiac unit, we came down to more like 70, which is much more manageable. You're able to have closer relationships with every person on your team, which is something that's hugely important to me, is to have one-on-one relationships with every single person that I manage that reports to me. I don't like to use the word manage, that I lead. I think that having my own unit, starting from scratch, building my own team has been an amazing experience. And I've had so much support from HR and from education, from everyone, from peers that lead other units. And so the depth of support is immense, and you feel it every day. Our unit is a 25-bed unit now. We are 17-bed progressive and 8-bed general. We see cardiac patients and neuro patients, our two main populations, but we really see everything also. Strokes are not our only medical. We have diabetes, we have sepsis, we have GI bleeds, we have pancreatitis. I could go on. There's nothing that we don't take care of. And with COVID hitting, we did have a small isolation section on our unit, but what that meant was that we saw the other populations that were pushed out of those units to our unit because their units were isolation and they couldn't care for their population at the time. So we had a bunch of renal patients in CAPD. We are ACLS certified, so we can respond with some ACLS medications on our floor for certain things. We see a lot of cardiac procedures. I think that's speaking a lot to the population, and we just see everything. It's a great place to learn a lot of skills, get a lot of knowledge. It's a great place to grow into a charge nurse, into a preceptor. There's a lot of growth opportunities on my floor. I think the specialness of my team, I can't even tell you all of it. It's immense in that regard to family, resilient, teamwork, inclusive, welcoming, positive. These people have been through a lot this year, and you wouldn't know it by looking at their faces. They're just an amazing group of people that I'm so lucky and fortunate to lead every day. I can't imagine being anywhere else. I wouldn't want to be. And as far as Brian's concerned, they do so much for this hospital and the staff. I love all of the get-togethers we get to do. I especially love the picnics when we get to be outside and enjoying Husker cheerleaders or the different picture booths, and we get to put on silly faces and take pictures with our teams. We get to have, good food and good entertainment and just kind of relax during the middle of your busy day. That's a highlight. And then something that's brought a lot of great things to us this last few years has been the operation transformation. And we were fortunate enough to be a part of that. So many great things. Crystal mentioned idea flow cards, which is amazing. You get to hear the ideas from your team and they get to put them into effect and have voices. The 5S, the making sure everything's organized and straightened and cleaned, just makes your job so much easier. You don't have to go hunting for things. A lot of great things have come from Operation Transformation, and I'm very fortunate to have been a part of it. Mm-hmm. What else, Mary, can I touch base on?
Well, I would say, what kind of person is successful on your unit?
Oh my gosh. I would say for me, compassion is something I look for. And if you have that, I can teach you how to be a good nurse. And we have lots of great people who can be, good with skills and put in an IV and put in an NG tube and do a dressing change and tips on organization and time management. I love organization and time management. That's a huge love of mine. I can teach all that. I can't teach compassion, being a good caregiver, being a good team player. My team is super at teamwork and helping without even having to ask, just jumping in and helping people. I think that's where the success lies, is just and being vulnerable and open. I think that's when you get to the good stuff. So that would be my takeaway for you.
Thank you, Molly. Appreciate you sharing about your compassionate team. Thank you. And now we're going to finish up with Katie Austin from Cardiac PCU. And Kara, thank you so much for pulling up those images. I think it's so helpful to be able to kind of see what the unit looks like. And you can see obviously that Katie's unit is tight. Katie, are you with us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect, Katie. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think one of the first things you'll notice is my team wears red. We are different from the other units because we are solely cardiac based. We do get other things, but almost all of our patients have some cardiac in nature. And so we wear red, which I think the team really loves, because when they get on the elevator or they're walking around the hospital, everybody knows what unit they work on. Everybody knows what floor they're from. We're all on 4th floor. We share our floor with cardiac and vascular ICU and work very closely with them. So that's one of the big notices you'll notice right away. I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about was social. You can see how social they are in the pictures. they don't mind having their picture taken. They don't mind if I get the camera out and wander around and take pictures, and it starts creating giggling and laughing and silly poses, and they really get into it. They want to let you guys all know what you could be getting yourself into by coming to the cardiac unit. And they're so welcoming, and they love to see new faces. They're so great with students. We have students from Union College, we have students from UNMC, we have students from Bryan, we have students from Wesleyan, and that's one of the things this team does really well, is they're really welcoming. They want to make sure if you're going to be on our unit today, you're going to have a good day. Let's get you into some things. Let's have you watch some things. Let's have you pull out, epidurals. Let's have you do that central line dressing change. They want you very, very involved. And that's the same way that they treat brand new nurses on the unit. They want you to see and do all the cool stuff that we do. We start our day, one of those pictures is at the huddle board. We have also gone through operational transformation, and that's one of the things that they really love. That board that you see there, that's our daily report card. So we get to see how we're doing every day. We get to see things like how we're doing with getting patients out the day before. We have goals for discharges early. We want them discharged by noon. So they get to see, did we meet the mark yesterday, or what do we got to do today to work on that? They get to see how well they did on touching base with patients every hour. We do hourly rounding. It's one of those things we want to get in and talk to our patients every hour and make sure they see us, we see them, everything is going really well. They're very, very focused on patient care and giving good quality patient care. We start our morning together at a huddle. So everybody's together for 5 to 7 minutes, seeing each other's faces. If there's a birthday, if there's a celebration, we celebrate it then and there. And that's just a great way to start off the day. The night charge nurse or the day charge nurse leads the huddle, and they tell us how their shift went. So we know what we're walking into when we come on for the day. And I think that's really important for a successful start to your shift. As you can see, they participate in a lot of different things. They've all got their goggles on. We do have one patient that we had that was a long-term patient that was COVID positive, but he also had an LVAD. And so they end up on our unit. We get to know our patients really, really well. They love having relationships with their patients and building that rapport. We do a lot of teaching, and we have a lot of patients that come in that have 100 pounds of fluid weight that we need to get off. That doesn't come off very quickly. And so it's that relationship that we develop with rounding and with the leader rounding that we do every day with our patients as well. COVID it was a little bit hard for us because we couldn't be as social together outside of work as we usually are in years past. So it brought about new challenges, and it brought about challenges with staff meetings. One of the things that I love to get together during staff meetings and unit-based council meetings. We have a strong unit-based council for our team. That's them driving what they want to work on and how they want to improve things. We also do the idea flow cards too. That's the bedside nurses, the frontline workers coming up with ideas for continuous improvement constantly. What can we do now? What process can we fix? What can we improve? And so I love to be in staff meetings and in unit-based council meetings where we can hear them freely talk about the things that they want to see changed, or that here's the problems that we're having. How can we work together to fix those things? And then some of my favorite social things that Bryan does. I love all the picnics. My favorite picnic was the one, I think it was really close to Cinco de Mayo. And so it was a Mexican theme, and they had big speakers and music, and there was sombrero hats and all sorts of stuff. And it was outside and it was sunny and warm that day. And it brightens your day to have things like that. The other thing that I think Bryan does a really good job is those kind of things happen on day shift. We have a night shift crew that needs to be recognized as well. So they have ice cream socials at night where the leaders come in and dish out ice cream for the night shift crew. We have our cafeteria open from midnight to 2 a.m. Not all places have that. So that's just some of those little perks that I think Bryan, recognizes, that we have people working 24/7 and they want to recognize them. Weekends, nights, holidays. We get free meals on holidays if you're working in the building. You get to go down and have a free meal in the cafeteria. So they take really good time to think about those things that would impact you and the fact that you're working Christmas. Nobody wants to work Christmas, but they take those things into consideration and make sure that you get something a little extra special. So those are the things that I really love about my unit. They really want to be social again. It's really important to them. So if we can set up bowling or, a picnic, things like that, they really like to talk about those things during unit-based council too, so that they can gather and have community and feel like a family more than just at work.
Well, thank you, Katie, for kind of walking us through what it's like to work on your unit. Sure appreciate that. We have a little bit of time left. We have 6 minutes remaining, and the exciting thing is we have all these participants in this breakout room, and we'd love to hear what your questions are. So if you would like to unmute and introduce yourself, and then you can either just ask a general question or ask a question for any specific leaders. We'll give you a minute to unmute and just dive in, because I know our leaders love questions. So while we're waiting for them to think about a question, if we could just have you jump in and share what your favorite core value is and why.
Mary, this is Katie.
Hi.
And one of the things I love about Brian, and I'm not sure which core value it falls into, but we have a rule at Brian. It's the 5-10 rule. When you're within 10 feet of each other, you should be making eye contact and smiling. I love this rule because it forces people to have eye contact and to really connect with people. And then when you're within 5 feet of people, you need to say something to them. Hi, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon. And I think Brian employees really adopt that really well. And I do it at Hy-Vee, or if I'm at Walmart, and I catch myself doing it outside of Brian. But that's one thing that I love. If I'm touring a new employee around or something and I say hi to everybody, they're like, gosh, you know everybody. And I'm like, yeah, that's the thing we do at Brian. We want to know everybody. We want to greet everybody, even the volunteers, even the EVS people. That's one of the things that I love about Brian.
Thanks, Katie. Any participants have a question for our leaders? Otherwise, they can certainly dive in and share what their favorite core value is and why. Any participants that want to ask a question? Okay, Amanda, would you like to share a core value?
My core value is enjoy the journey. I think that is so important for our staff, and I really feel like they take that to heart, especially this last year. They have really, we've had, with isolation, we've had some good times and we've had some not so good times, but in the end, they have really made it their own. And I wish I could share with you, I made a slideshow for them just over this past year about how we did enjoy the journey, and look at us now. So I think that's really important.
Thank you, Amanda. That's great. Well, good news, leaders and participants. We do have a comment from Karen. She said she doesn't have a microphone, but she wanted you to know that it looks like there's a lot of nursing processes in place that keep employees engaged. That's very good. She loves hearing that education is still important. So kudos to all the leaders, because they could definitely see that thread about how we invest in our employees. And then jump in, leaders, for your favorite core value.
Hi, this is Crystal, nurse manager on West 2 North. I like all of the core values. I think they're all independently important, but my favorite is probably the care like crazy. I think it just incorporates it into everything, enjoying the journey, know the way, show the way. It's all based on that caring atmosphere that we really, and it doesn't specify in there, only for patients or only for team members. And I think it speaks volumes that that care is seen throughout the organization to our patients, to our team members, and it really is our base for all of those other core values as well.
Great. I'm going to see if Karen has any questions, but meanwhile, just jump in with anything, leaders, that you would like to share, or Kara, if you would like to add.
This is Molly Goodman. I'll talk about core values. I truly love all of the core values, as Crystal mentioned, but my favorite would probably have to be know the way, show the way. We talk a lot about learning on the unit. No question's a dumb question. No harm, no foul. You know, you're going to make a mistake. We're going to make mistakes, but we're going to learn from them. We're going to grow from them. We're going to teach people. My favorite thing I've learned as a leader is, you know, let's help people, not judge people. And so that's what we're here to do, is to help people grow and know the way, show the way. That would be probably my number one core value.
Mm-hmm. That's great. What I'd also like to know, if we have time before we get pulled back, is some of you have alluded to the great community support. Can you share some things, whether when you're out in the community or things that the public has done to kind of help bolster up your staff during this difficult year? I'd love to hear that connection with the community.
So Amanda Fink here, I can speak to that a little bit. Since last March, we have been some type of isolation with COVID patients. And it's just nice to see the community support the staff, whether it be standing outside with signs. They stood out there, they made signs. There's still signs out there. I think it was the daycare that made us signs. We had thank you cards and Christmas cards that came from different schools that we hung up all over. Some gifted us with treats or snacks or a meal, which was amazing. But the amazing part about it is that we were able to step up and to care for our community during this time, and that the staff took it on, which was amazing to see.
Thank you, Amanda. We have another 30 seconds. Would one of the other leaders like to jump in and share what they've observed about community support?
This is Crystal, and I'll just make it quick. You know, I think that the team is just so appreciative of the community support. We take time out of our day to talk about that at our pre-shift huddle, about not only the support that we're able to offer the community, but the support that they offer us in return. And it's been, the outpouring support has been amazing.
That's great to hear, Crystal.
Everybody, I believe that people are